Hey guys, it's Biggs. Now I'm out in the wild. As you can see around me, the snow is almost gone. I'm only about 2 minutes from my house. I'm just out in just an area where the kids like to come. There's an area just over there that has all these giant sand dunes. It's just unclaimed land. It's in the middle of nowhere. There's a lot of areas of lower, there a lot of water collects. But I'm out here for one very specific reason. What do you guys think it is? Got to stay tuned. Well, this is the time of year when new hardscape materials just magically appear around us. And that's what I'm here for today. I've been wanting to redo the two 160s a little bit. And I do buy a lot of nice different types of decorative type woods like spider woods and Bopanis and Malaysian driftwood and stuff. But for those two big 160s, I like the idea of some nice gnarled branches, and I always use hardwoods. So I'm out here in the woods looking for some deadfall, some oak trees or things like that, poplars or any hardwoods, nothing resinous, nothing like a pine tree like you see behind me there. I can't use anything like that because all the resins and the phenols and stuff. But right behind me here, there's a nice piece of deadfall and all these little gnarled little things and stuff like that. I could break that down into something like a nice 6-foot piece, find a few of those, and I think we can get something pretty cool in the big tank. Now, when looking for deadfall branches in the wild, when you're looking for things to add to your aquarium, one, you've got to make certain that they are from areas that are clean. So areas that are not having used pesticides and herbicides and stuff like that. Clean, nice, clean green spaces. But the other factor, like I mentioned earlier, is you always want to make sure that the woods that you're using are something that's not going to break down as quickly. So you always want to stay with something that's a nice, good quality hardwood. Something like an oak or a poplar or something like that. Avoid any of the resinous type woods like any of the pine trees or even some of the different things such as willows and stuff. They'll just last. These other ones will just hold up a lot better in the water column. Now, another thing that you might want to note while you're out in the wild is open your eyes a bit more. While we're looking at the deadfall, also look at how the leaf litter and all the other stuff collects in these areas a lot more. This would happen the same way as whether or not this tree fell in the forest or whether this tree fell off a riverbank and into a river. It becomes a catchment area, almost like a net that catches all sorts of stuff that flows down with the water column, with the river and stuff. So you see a lot more different leaf litter. There's a lot more stuff that's caught up in this little area than there would be just out in the wild anywhere on the ground. But there's some really nice, interesting pieces here. I like looking for pieces, that hold up a little bit better. You want to make sure that you can get pieces that the bark comes off really, really easily. Because, putting that into the tank, that's just going to be extra organics. But that's nice and clean and that's ready to go. This stuff comes off nice and easy. Or you could easily just quickly hit it with a pressure washer and stuff. Leaving a little bit on is not going to matter. It's just a little bit of organics that's going to break down in the water column. But I like the interest, you've got these nice little joints and stuff like that. It's going to go into the tank. I got my saw with me. Let's get some nice pieces. All sorts of cool stuff just in this one clump of deadfall. Here's a really cool piece. I like the fact that it's a much more heavier substance piece. The bark comes off it quick and readily. It's quick and easy to clean, but it'll still hold up. It doesn't have a lot of these loose, what I call little flimsy branches and stuff. Like it's all got stuff of a bit more substance. Like that piece will just knock right off. We'll probably cut it somewhere up here. Cut it somewhere down there. And as you can see, I've already got it started there, and now give me some nice piece. But it's a little bit heftier piece than some of the other ones that I've been finding. And here's my findings. It's maybe about half hour out in the woods. Found some nice pieces. Again, all the bark will just come off on most of these pieces quick and easy. If not, again, you can just give them a quick pressure wash. But this will definitely add some beautiful interest and some natural interest into my natural inspired 6-foot Central American Cichlid tanks. Now let's get this guy's stuff home and see what we can do. All right, guys, this is the 160. This is the top of the bunk beds. This is the one that we're going to redo. I'm going to just take everything out. Now, I got to take everything out for a couple of factors. I got a ton of the bussing iron here, and I want to give a few more to a good friend of mine, Ray Quinnell, because I've just got too many, and he's got a group, and the more that we spread them around, the better chances everyone's going to have for a super, super cool rare species. I also got about half a dozen of a salvini from the Rio Candelaria from Mr. Rusty Wessel, and they're going to grow up in here, and they're doing fine as well. But the other thing that's in this tank that is probably the odd one out, should not be in here because it's a lot more docile, is the Rossio spinosissimus. And they all hang around that tree there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I still have all 6, and those came from my very dear friends Karen Haas and Alan Rawlings in PA. And I've got to move those guys out of here into the planted 120, which we redid a while ago. I'm just waiting for it to come back. I did a whole time lapse of gutting the tank and setting it all up again, and it's been running and it's percolating, but I just changed some of the lighting around a little bit on it. I took the light off of this tank, the big Gucci fancy one, the Blau fixture from Germany with the 4 tubes. I put a 2-tube fixture on this one, and the color's a little bit off because it's just got 2 sun blasters, I think they're called. But I want to put one of the ones with the little purpley tints, get a bit more color, because it's a little bit too yellow for me right now. It's fine, not really too worried about it, but for color-wise, we're going to want to change that. And then I also got the trim to put up on here. I should do that one day. It just hasn't gotten around to doing it. So we're going to go on ahead, and we're going to start taking all the wood and everything out of here. We're going to catch those Rossio spinosissimus. We're going to get them dripping for the 120. And then we're going to start playing around with the hardscape of all those fancy new twigs and stuff that we collected today. And let's see what we can do with this.
Well, here's the finished result. Now, you guys are probably wondering, why didn't he even clean the algae? Like, why didn't he do this? Why didn't he do that? Well, I never ever I let the algae go completely on the back and often even on the side of the tanks. These tanks I painted all kind of a flat, an off green color. I like the color, and even with the algae and modeling going on, I like it even better. You'll notice some of the sticks. The thing I like about when I harvest these wild branches and stuff like that, of these different types of trees in the wild, the thing I like about it is the tanks are always constantly evolving. So a couple of the branches you can kind of wedge underneath existing stuff, existing hardscape in the tank, and get that kind of look. But the thing I like even better is that some of the branches I can let float until they become waterlogged. And it also gives a different dynamic to the tank as well, and it makes them feel a little bit more secure. Now, the fish are still a little bit shy because I literally finished the time lapse and then I started doing this about half an hour later. So I was constantly in their face, and they're not really showing their true behaviors. I'm also still considering the idea of possibly adding in maybe my group of Xenotoka lion's eye tamazul. I have such a big group of them. I might add some of them to this tank, and they'll stay in the upper quadrant, and they'll make the fish feel a lot more comfortable, I think. And now that the more delicate Rossio spinosissimus are moved out and gone into the 120 tank beside them, with the plants and everything, they're going to feel better. And these rough and tumble Central Americans, these guys are going to feel a little bit better. As long as I give them something above them, they'll make them feel a little bit more comfortable. Right now, with those sticks floating on the surface, they're kind of wondering, what is that? Is that a bird? What's looking down at me? Now, the other thing, if you'll notice, is I added a bunch of different botanicals to the tank as too. I like adding a lot of the different types of leaf litter, but when I'm working on a bigger tank, like this tank is a 160, I like using some of the larger pieces of hardscape, those just big, giant, different types of bean pods, and the different types of leaves and big pieces and stuff like that. I think it just gives the whole piece a nice finished touch. So let's just sit back and watch them. Get some close-ups here. Maybe we'll see some of the Cribiheros look a little bit better, a little bit more natural. I just put the camera on a tripod and left the room and let them settle in and see how they look. I think the tank looks great. Now, what do you guys think? What are your thoughts? Leave me a comment. Do any of you do any of these what we'll call biotopic style or inspired theme tanks, or more naturalistic styled aquariums? Have any of you used any of these natural type of materials yourself that you found in your yard or areas around your home in your aquariums? This is definitely my preferred method of setting up an aquarium. I don't think I could ever have a tank with multicolored gravel and little castles and stuff like that, and SpongeBob ornaments and whatnot, but if that's your choice, it would still theoretically meet the needs of the fish. It provides visual barriers, and shelters, and so forth, so it's teach his own. I very much like seeing the social interactions of the fishes in these natural type environments with as much naturally harvested materials as I can. Now, the one big disadvantage with a lot of the natural harvested materials that are close by is they are definitely going to break down in the water column quicker than, say, Malaysian driftwood or some of these nice ironwoods and things like that. So you do have to be on top of your water parameters and make sure your water chemistry is good. This tank is one of those tanks that has a full automatic water changing system, so that's taken care of every single day. So I hope that you enjoyed today's video. As always, thank you very much for watching. Thank you kindly for any comments. Every time you share, I thank you. Enjoy.